Today we're going to be exploring the MIDI controller from Disaster Area, the DPC-5 Gen 3. We're going to go over all the features and all the ins and outs and what all the buttons do. You can control more than 5 pedals inside the loops, with the caveat that they'll be turned on at the same time. So as you can see, I have to have all the pedals on within the loops to non-bypass, so I need the LEDs for the loop switcher to work. For the MIDI, we have a bunch of different implementations. We have a traditional MIDI slot, so MIDI out. If we get a Y MIDI cable, you can do MIDI to a different MIDI controller, such as the DMC-4 or the 6 or other branded MIDI controllers that you can control more MIDI pedals, or you can have more loops, such as the DMC-8. So you can have 13 loops and 4 MIDI pedals, controlled by 2 devices, essentially. Right, we also have USB MIDI. That's controlling the zoom. And then we have a special out called the multi-jack. So the multi-jack, which is the red here, allows for control over Chase Bliss MIDI, as well as Empress and Maris as well. You can also use it for tap tempo out or for controlling an amp switcher. Similar is the white output here, is the TRS Control 1 and Control 2. So right now I'm using it as the Strymon favorite switcher. I have a Flint up top. So you can use it as well as for like an amp reverb, or for splitting an AB or a mixer, some kind of implementation. So there's a bunch of options there. The multi-jack is really nice because it lets you use Chase Bliss right out of the box without needing a mini box. Though I do recommend a mini box if you're looking to power, if you're looking to use this with more than one Chase Bliss, Maris, or Empress. It just makes things a lot easier, and I'm currently using a Chase Bliss mini box for the Gravitas right now. The Therme is in the multi-jack out because I don't want tap tempo sent to everything at the same time. I want temp tempo for the Therme to specify a specific time. Right, so that gives me these channels here. So we see A is the zoom, B is the H9, C is Therme, and D is Gravitas. There's a looper option for the one of the MIDI slots, so you can use any looper capable MIDI pedal and control the looping with this interface here. So for instance, I'm using the H9 looper from the Time Factor to record, playback, stop, and redo /stop/ clear the loop. And then you also have the reverse and half functions if you hold down A and C respectively, and you can wipe those out as well if you do those two. So that's basically the MIDI page, and I can map any preset I want. Right, so you scroll with this button, and you can go up and down, banks, and then select, deselect. And then this is the D foot switch is either a tap tempo, a favorite setting, or a preset. So right now I only have tap tempo sent to the Therme. So you see the LED is going to change. And the reason I did this is because the Therme, I wanted to have the tap tempo there because there is no time knob on it. Also, this allows for step mode a lot easier than me reaching up here. So I can't get the regens by holding on D because that'll just move me into the foot switches. But I can get the regens from here normally. That's moving on to the foot switches. So like I said, you can have more than 5 pedals. They market it as 5 only to use it as intended. All right, so I can turn any of those on and off. Like I said, you have to have the bypass on. So like if I turned off the bypass for the count of 5, this doesn't magically turn on, right, the functionality for the count of 5. I need to have this in non-bypass for it to work. And you'll still have to use the foot switches for anything with 2. So for instance, like if I wanted to do the crackle on the fuck, I would have to press on that specific foot switch. So it's only meant for the bypass switches on each of those pedals. Right, and there is no reordering like the Boss ones. It's a pretty simple loop switcher. So these are the disaster area plugs, the Evo solderless plugs. They worked really well. Getting them cut right was pretty easy, and they give you a generous amount of cable for the price. So I got the 20-piece set, and that covers for 5 pedals in and out loops. And then there's also underneath the main in is a tuner out. So if I wanted to use like my TU3 as a tuner out, I can use that for tuner mute. But right now I have it set where if I hold down C, it's going to tune, right? And it's set for the H9 to be the tuner. I can also set it for the zoom, right? And that's all in the settings menu. And if I hold down Control 1, then that's going to change my Flint preset. You can see here that this is turned on. Right now, since I'm sending TRS over this white out, Control 2 does nothing. But if I did a splitter cable here and I only sent tip to one and ring to the other, then I can do tap tempo for these two. Like I can send the tap tempo from one of the MIDI pedals to Control 1 and Control 2, for instance. Or I can control an amp reverb or tremolo setting. Moving on to the main feature, here we have the presets. So we'll move to the next screen. All right, and you hold down D to get to the next screen. So we have this preset bank system. So I believe there's 100 banks that you can access. You can set how many you have active at a time. So right now I have 10 active. So I just scroll through them normally. So I'm at bank 0. So if I tap this A preset, then it's going to activate certain things. So you can't see the whole board, but basically I have the shallow water is being activated. And then I can check in the MIDI menu what settings I'm at. So I'm using the zoom on preset 47 and the H9 as the looper. Right now we see that it's indicating that we're looping. So if we go to the loop menu, we can start and play back that looper as normal. The D foot switch can be programmed for a specific thing. So in preset mode, I have it to access a 4th preset instead of like a favorite setting or tap tempo. There's a very short, like milliseconds between the switches, and you can turn that completely off. All the loops are buffered except for the first one, but you can turn that on as well. Let's say you have an old fuzz that doesn't play well with a buffer, so you can turn that off. But the rest of them are all buffer bypass. What is nice is there is a global preset that you can have. So if I tap B again, because I'm in preset 1B, it'll go back to preset 1, which I have for this like shoegazy setting. But that preset will be global for all of the other banks. So like P3 is the same as P1, without me tapping A through D. So that's the disaster area DPC-5 Gen 3 MIDI controller. As I said, it has a lot of features. There's a lot more in the settings menu. Like there's expression control. So right now I'm sending expression to the H9 exclusively. You could send it to as many of the MIDI pedals as you want. So all in all, it's a really good entry-level controller. It takes a little bit to set up. You need some special cables, such as the solderless ones, to make sure they're flat. You need MIDI cables, multi-jack cables, depending on your setup. But for a medium-sized pedal board with 10 or so pedals, this works really well because I have a good mix of MIDI and non-MIDI. So yeah, thanks for checking it out, and